The Browns' quarterback controversy has exploded into outright chaos, and head coach Kevin Stefanski appears to have lost control. Multiple insiders confirm that Shedeur Sanders stormed out of the Browns facility following a heated confrontation with Stefanski over his role as QB1. The tension reportedly erupted during a closed-door meeting, where Stefanski questioned Sanders' readiness while suggesting Dillon Gabriel deserved more first-team repetitions. This isn't just a coaching decision, it's a clash of power, pitting traditional football hierarchy against modern player empowerment. Witnesses say Sanders left the meeting visibly frustrated, walked silently through the locker room, and exited the facility without acknowledging anyone. Moments later, Stefanski faced the media in what insiders call his most explosive press conference yet. When asked about Sanders' departure, he was blunt: "We have standards here. If anyone doesn't want to be part of this team, that's their choice." Don't misinterpret these words. Sources close to Stefanski say his frustration has been simmering since the team's draft night interference. The coach is reportedly exhausted watching a carefully constructed program being dismantled by external pressures. His public comments were a calculated risk, asserting authority while risking alienation of the franchise quarterback. For fans tracking Cleveland's turmoil since April, this confrontation delivers exactly what was feared, yet somehow expected. What began as a routine discussion on offensive schemes, protection adjustments, and developmental timelines quickly spiraled. According to sources, Stefanski questioned Sanders' grasp of complex defensive concepts, suggested extra film study, and proposed Gabriel receive equal practice reps to ensure a competitive evaluation. Sanders reportedly listened calmly at first, keeping his composure despite obvious disagreement. When Stefanski allegedly told Sanders that being drafted didn't guarantee a starting spot, witnesses say Sanders' demeanor shifted dramatically. "You're not treating me like QB1, Sanders reportedly shot back. "You're treating me like I'm fighting for a roster spot." The conversation quickly escalated. Stefanski allegedly stressed a team-first mentality, earning opportunities through preparation, and respecting organizational processes. Sanders countered, bringing up ownership promises, media obligations, and franchise marketing commitments. Two perspectives collided, neither giving ground, and the meeting ended without resolution. Sanders left immediately, while Stefanski reportedly sat stunned by what some called unprecedented quarterback defiance. The aftermath was instantaneous. Social media erupted, hashtags like #Fader and #FireStefanski went viral within minutes. Fans split sharply. Sanders supporters accused Stefanski of disrespecting a franchise cornerstone and undermining ownership, while Stefanski's defenders highlighted coaching authority, professional standards, and organizational discipline. This clash underscores a broader divide: player empowerment versus traditional structure. Locker room dynamics quickly fractured. Veterans scrambled to contain the fallout, privately voicing exhaustion over constant drama. Offensive linemen questioned their protection responsibilities amid quarterback uncertainty, receivers debated loyalty to talent versus process, and defensive players stayed cautious but aware of competitive stakes. One defensive captain reportedly said, "We can't win anything if our own building's on fire." Multiple sources describe a chaotic scene unfolding after Sanders' departure. Players gathered spontaneously, debating loyalties, questioning leadership, and weighing the team's future. Some veterans reportedly reached out to Sanders, urging him to return and stressing team unity. Others sided with Stefanski, insisting accountability must outweigh individual talent. The split runs deep, through position groups, coaching staff, and even administrative offices. This isn't ordinary tension, it's a fracture that may be irreparable. The timing only makes it worse. Training camp is ending, the preseason finale looms, and the regular season demands complete focus. Yet the organization's energy is entirely consumed by the quarterback controversy. Defensive coordinators across the division are reportedly taking notice. Ravens, Steelers, Bengals coaches allegedly adjusting game plans to exploit Cleveland's instability. Every snap Sanders misses stalls chemistry. Every divided practice erodes competitive readiness. Ownership's stance remains murky. Jimmy Haslam is said to be furious but uncertain where to direct his anger. His initial endorsement of Sanders now appears to be fueling organizational chaos. Sources claim Haslam held emergency calls with minority owners, weighing interventions ranging from forced reconciliation to fully backing Stefanski or even the nuclear option, firing the coaching staff mid-camp. Each scenario carries massive repercussions. Meanwhile, GM Andrew Berry finds himself in an impossible position. He invested heavily to acquire Sanders, often against coaching staff preferences, and his credibility is now directly tied to Sanders' success or failure. Prioritizing a player over a coach sets a dangerous precedent. Berry reportedly tried to mediate, proposing compromises and seeking middle ground, but neither side has shown flexibility. The GM is caught between the franchise quarterback and the established coach. There is no clear winning outcome. This situation goes beyond Cleveland's immediate issues. League executives are watching closely, aware of potential ramifications for player-coach dynamics across the NFL. If Sanders successfully challenges coaching authority with a walkout, what's to stop similar incidents elsewhere? Conversely, if Stefanski's hardline stance costs Cleveland their presumed franchise quarterback, does that set an equally troubling precedent? One NFC executive warned bluntly, if this isn't resolved soon, Cleveland could lose more than a quarterback, they could lose their entire fan base. From Sanders' perspective, the pressure has been relentless. A fifth-round pick unexpectedly elevated by ownership, every practice scrutinized, every incompletion dissected, every decision publicly questioned. Despite performing admirably and defending his position throughout camp, sources say Sanders' frustration has grown over perceived disrespect, coaching resistance, and organizational dysfunction. Yesterday's meeting appears to have been the breaking point. Stefanski's position is equally understandable. A successful NFL coach suddenly stripped of his authority to determine the starting lineup sees years of culture building, accountability standards, and program identity undermined by an ownership mandate. Being forced to accept a predetermined quarterback despite legitimate evaluation concerns understandably sparked an explosive reaction reflecting frustration, professional pride, and the integrity of a coach committed to his team. Multiple coaching sources privately expressed support for Sanders while acknowledging impossible circumstances and respecting his principled stance. The practical implications, however, are staggering. If Sanders doesn't return, Cleveland faces a quarterback crisis. Gabriel's suspension is active, backup options are limited and unprepared, and the preseason finale demands a starter. With the regular season opener looming, offensive installation stalls, team chemistry halts, and competitive hopes evaporate. Forcing Sanders back without resolution would deepen dysfunction, a divided locker room, undermine coaching authority, and a surreal atmosphere within the building. Players arrive uncertain if Sanders will return. Coaches prepare contingency plans while hoping they won't be needed. Media camps outside, anticipating explosive developments. The organization is paralyzed, unable to provide answers. One veteran reportedly told teammates, "I've been through bad situations. This feels different. This feels like the end of something. Don't assume a simple reconciliation is possible." Boundaries have been crossed on both sides. Sanders' walkout marks unprecedented rookie defiance, while Stefanski's public comments eliminate any face-saving retreat. The relationship appears irreparably fractured, with neither side willing to initiate reconciliation. Pride, principle, and power collide catastrophically. Meanwhile, the Cleveland season hangs by a thread, threatening complete derailment before meaningful football even begins. National perception is shifting rapidly. The Browns, once a potential playoff contender, now teeter toward becoming a dysfunctional laughingstock. Media coverage is relentless, mocking, and devastating. Former players question organizational competence, analysts predict immediate collapse. The franchise's fragile reputation, already battered after decades of instability, risks permanent damage. Free agents take note, crossing Cleveland off their list of destinations. The situation is spinning out of control. Behind the scenes, frantic negotiations reportedly unfold, Sanders' camp demanding a public apology, guaranteed starting role, and a coaching approach tailored to him. Stefanski's stance remains firm, organizational standards are non-negotiable. Ownership is caught in the middle, unable to satisfy both coach and quarterback. Each hour without resolution deepens the crisis and hardens positions. From Sanders' perspective, this is institutional disrespect toward generational talent. promised starting position, marketing campaigns, soaring jersey sales, and season ticket renewals all hinge on his presence. Now, coaching decisions undermine it all. The walkout, from their view, is a justified response to intolerable treatment. Stefanski supporters see it differently. Professional football thrives on structure, merit, and accountability. Predetermined outcomes erode competitive integrity. Players must earn their roles through performance and professionalism. Sanders' walkout signals immaturity, entitlement, and poor leadership. The coach is simply enforcing the standards every successful organization requires. Capitulating now risks future chaos whenever players challenge authority. Veterans navigate treacherous dynamics, caught between loyalty to Sanders and support for Stefanski. Most attempt neutrality, silently frustrated by the unending drama. Several players are reportedly weighing trade requests, unwilling to endure another dysfunctional season. The exodus could start immediately. Talented stars abandoning a sinking ship would accelerate the Browns' organizational collapse. Competitively, the implications are devastating. Division rivals celebrate Cleveland's implosion. Ravens, Steelers, Bengals all adjusting expectations against a weakened opponent. Overnight, the Browns shift from threat to afterthought. Defensive coordinators are salivating at the prospect of facing a disorganized, demoralized team. A challenging schedule becomes nearly impossible without internal alignment. Playoff hopes evaporate. Financial consequences compound the crisis. Sponsors reconsider partnerships. Season ticket holders demand answers. Merchandise sales stall. Stadium attendance risks historic lows. The organization hemorrhages money while tarnishing its reputation. Haslam's investment depreciates rapidly, and the billionaire owner faces humiliation despite unprecedented spending. Every decision seems to magnify existing problems rather than solve them. Where can resolution come from? Leadership, maturity, and pragmatism are urgently needed. Either Sanders must return and respect coaching authority, or Stefanski must adjust to accommodate his franchise quarterback. Neither appears likely. The stalemate drags on, and time is Cleveland's enemy. Every hour without resolution deepens wounds, hardens positions, and narrows options. Immediate intervention is required to prevent total collapse. The implications extend beyond Cleveland. This conflict sets a precedent affecting the entire league. Player empowerment versus coaching authority is a tension shaping professional sports. If Sanders wins through walkout tactics, expect similar standoffs to spread. If Stefanski holds firm despite the fallout, coaches gain leverage over organizational control. Former Browns legends voiced disappointment and frustration, witnessing another generation's potential squandered by mismanagement. Having endured decades of dysfunction, they had hoped this regime would bring change only to see familiar patterns repeat. Their criticism carries weight, resonating with fans and intensifying calls for sweeping reforms. The franchise's troubled history looms over its present struggles. Looking ahead, several scenarios are possible. Sanders returns, reconciling publicly and resuming competition under a new structure, or trade talks accelerate, leading to his departure and some compensation for Cleveland. Stefanski could be fired, replaced by an interim coach while ownership restructures the organization, or the status quo could persist, letting dysfunction continue until the season collapses spectacularly. None of these options are ideal. The ultimate question remains, can Cleveland recover? History suggests otherwise. Dysfunction rarely resolves itself, talented players leave in search of stability, and quality coaches avoid toxic environments. For Cleveland, the road ahead promises challenges as steep as any they've faced before. Free agents demand top dollar, risking reputations. The downward spiral accelerates until a full rebuild becomes unavoidable. Cleveland seems destined for a familiar outcome, another failed season. Coaches are fired, players depart, the roster is rebuilt, hope is renewed, and disappointment repeats. This moment will define the Browns' immediate future. Leadership must emerge to resolve the crisis, or chaos will continue to consume the organization. The football world watches, expecting dysfunction even as fans cling to optimism. Browns supporters, despite decades of heartbreak, hope their franchise can find a solution and avoid the seemingly inevitable collapse. This is an institutional failure, a clash of philosophies, a power struggle shaping the franchise's direction. Success in professional football demands alignment among ownership, management, coaches, and players. Without shared vision, unified strategy, and mutual respect, triumph remains impossible. Cleveland currently lacks all three. The explosion everyone feared has finally arrived. Now the question, is anything salvageable amid the wreckage? The story continues to evolve. Sanders' decision is pending, Stefanski's role uncertain, and ownership intervention remains possible. Some franchises never learn. Cleveland appears to be one of them. The city deserves better. Fans have endured it all, the drives, the fumbles, the relocations, the endless quarterback failures, constant rebuilding, relentless disappointment. Through it all, they have supported their team unconditionally, often receiving very little in return. Once again, we witness a self-inflicted disaster, another wasted opportunity, another embarrassing chapter in Cleveland's tortured history. When will the suffering end? When will competence arrive? When will the Browns experience sustained success instead of spectacular failure? Perhaps never. Perhaps dysfunction is embedded in their DNA, impossible to erase. Perhaps Cleveland is forever cursed. Or perhaps this crisis sparks the changes they desperately need. Perhaps destruction paves the way for reconstruction. Perhaps rock bottom becomes the foundation for climbing back up. History urges pessimism, yet hope demands optimism. Browns fans know both intimately. They watch. They wait. They endure. They support. That's who they are, loyal despite logic, faithful despite facts, believing despite everything suggesting otherwise. The saga continues. Tomorrow brings new developments, fresh controversies, and added complications. The quarterback situation remains unresolved. The organization remains divided. The future remains uncertain. What began as a competition at quarterback has evolved into a full-blown organizational civil war. Nobody wins these battles. Everyone suffers. And Cleveland? Cleveland suffers louder, prouder, more publicly, more dramatically, because the Browns are, well, the Browns. Some things never change.